It is time to do a review on the Novation Circuit Rhythm. Will I choose violence or not?
Traptendo.
What's going on, guys? DJ Av here, and yeah, yet again, the Novation Circuit Rhythm is in the studio, and I definitely want to do a review on it, and I definitely want to hear from you guys in the comment section. How do you feel about this $400 sampler groove box? Well, let's start with the body. The body in itself, the chassis is plastic, but it has a matte finish, so it's pretty sleek, and it is very lightweight. I don't have the exact weight for this, but as you can see, I'm not having an issue holding it up while I'm talking to you guys. It has a very unique pad layout, which I do respect. The 4x8 layout is pretty cool. And also the buttons are a bit mushy, so they're not clicky buttons, so you don't get that ASMR clicking that most producers like on the older samplers, of the past. But the pads, I can say, are pretty decent. If you're used to the Novation launch key and you're used to those pads, then you'll be very used to these pads right here, or the launch pad. Yeah, the quality of them are very good. I will put it, if I was to say, the Machine Plus is #1 with the best pads, and the MPC series has the second best pads, I would say that these will be in the running third. I think I have experienced them enough to say that, at least. And then the biggest thing you can see is portable, that I'm holding in my hand. I have it turned on, so you don't need to have it hooked up to a wall or anything like that. And then that's why I want to get into the IO. So starting from the right, you see that you have your power button, your Kensington lock above the power button. Then you see you have a USB Type-C to Type-A, or Type-C to Type-C, depending on how you want to plug it up. And then a micro SD card slot. What's really crazy is the full-size 5-pin MIDI DIN on a $400 unit, and I think that is incredible. And the biggest thing that I like about it is that you can hook it up to modular gear, because you have the sync in, and then you have, crazy enough, you have full-size 1/4-inch jacks, ins and outs, and a 1/8-inch headphone jack. I will say the impedance level is extremely low on this unit. I do have to max it out, and that's kind of a bummer. The obvious thing is the missing screen. In terms of workflow, I think it is extremely good, and I think I should just show that off to you so that you can get the gist of it. So upon purchasing your Novation Circuit Rhythm, or if you're considering that, you can go to the link in the description box, of course, but you need to register the Novation Circuit Rhythm on the novationmusic.com website, and that way, once you enter in your password and all this other stuff, you'll be good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick, and make sure that if you don't have an account, just create an account, okay? If it's your first Novation product. So after that, you will just register a new product. You can see my Circuit Rhythm is registered. So I'm gonna go to My Software. You can get the firmware update via this way. And I'm gonna go and access Novation Components, which is a web browser or standalone software. So you got to make sure that you're on a compatible browser. If you're using Safari, then you'll have some issues. Otherwise, you'll be good to go. So use Components Web. You can use the standalone version. Either way, you'll still have to log into the software. But if you have an account with them, then you'll be good to go. So again, I just had to allow some stuff. All right. So now I'm gonna go to the Circuit Rhythm. If you have any packs, you can log in with your Novation account, and that's what I just did. So I have my MXX pack here, and I'm gonna show you how it sounds. One thing I'm glad that they did was add a way so you can hear the sounds. And you'll notice up top, if you look at the right side of the screen, it'll tell you how much sample time you have left. I think it's up to 360 seconds, which is more than enough, but some samples, like if they're 24 seconds long, they're not compatible. I don't know what's up with that, but yeah, this is just one thing I want to show you. Also, it helps to protect your projects too, so make sure that you upload your projects. You can also change the grid effects too, which I'll get more in detail in another video. One thing I would like to point out about the circuit rhythm that might matter to you and might not matter to others is it is monophonic per track, meaning that you can only play one sample at a time. So if I was to play this, you can see that it can only play one voice, and that's unfair and unfortunate, but there is drum pad mode, so you would just double click on sample record and it will bring up drum pad mode. Every one of the pads, but it's per track still, so it's still monophonic, but this way you have access to whatever you have on whatever track. So that's one thing I wanted to point out. So and you also have note repeat too and drum pad function. So what I'm gonna do is a simple drum line on there, and the pads do feel pretty decent. Set up your tempo by going into tempo swing. What I'll do is I'll just mess with this real quick. I'll keep it at 88, and then the start knob will correlate with the swing. So if you want swing, then you could dial in that way and you can see the numbers on the pads. So I'm gonna go ahead and get back into sample mode right over here, or sample. And then I'm gonna show you another feature, which is un-quantize. So you would have to press shift and record quantize, and then press record. Make sure that you press shift and clear to get a click track. I am curious to know if there's a pre-roll feature, because I'm used to a pre-count and then getting into recording. That seems a little normal for me, at least. This button is important right here where it says 1, 16, 17, 32. I'm gonna make it 17, 32 so I can record a long bar, 2 bars in single time. And we'll go to track number 2 and do hi-hats. Notice from time to time the notes kind of stick out of the grid, and that's kind of problematic for me sometimes when I'm making a beat, but otherwise. So if you want to clear stuff, there is no fast way to clear a whole entire track. I wish that was a thing. I would just go ahead and clear it just by holding clear and then pressing on these pads. I don't think that's the only way you can do that, but it's the way that I know. And also hitting 116 or 1732, when it's lit up like this, that means it is 32. So you get 2-bar loops. I might be another way to get more bars out of that, but we'll figure that out in another video. So let's go ahead and press record quantize again, and hopefully it'll work. There we go. All right. Let's clear that. That's not what I wanted. Let's try that again. So again, record quantize seems like an issue sometimes. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Right now when I'm recording, it's not working, and that's inconvenient. But either way, let's move on to the sampling. I'm gonna go over here to 3. I'm gonna use this sample right here. So now that I have that selected and I have my hi-hats in here, I can turn off the click track, and we're in track number 3. I have track number 3 selected. So how do you sample? Well, it's pretty easy to sample. What you would do is go into sample mode. So press the sample button again. Now you're in sample mode, and you have a choice between different chops. You have this chop right here. You have this chop right here. You will have to select slice because otherwise you'll be on keyboard mode. So press slice right here, and each one of these will give you time divisions, which is cool with me because I use straight up sample loop packs. So press sample again, and then just go into note mode, and then you'll have your samples right here. All right, so let's record that in there. So let's cover how to get the most out of your sample real quick in this video. I think that's important for this review. Still on track number 3, which has the sample in there, and you can do many different things. So if you wanted to mess with a chop, you can. Let's turn it down a little bit. And truth be told, the parameter is a little too aggressive, but you can press shift and get micro adjustments. And you should be good to go. But since I already have what I want, it's good to go for right now. There is a high pass filter. I'm gonna go ahead and show you that. So if you have too much bass in the sample, you can adjust it in a low pass filter. You can mess with the sample length. Just want to show that off. And you can tune the samples down. And shift works the same way. It will give you micro adjustments. One thing I will show you is the distortion parameter, which I thought was going to be useless, but it ends up being good, to be honest. It's a good way to push your drums, and I think that's an important thing. I would have liked to seen this been lo-fi, but I think Novation did the right thing here. The other thing is pattern mode. So if you look at pattern mode right over here, you'll notice that the pads up here, which are illuminated, are the ones that are active. So I can actually drop like the hi-hat pattern. And say if I want to work on that that pattern right there and do something different, you know, you can just go back in your samples. And let's go ahead and mess with that, and we'll talk about mixing in a second. Well, oops, I deleted like the stuff right here, and that's where I have a big issue with. Remember when I said there's no undo button? Well, it happens to be an undo button, but unfortunately, seeing it's not here, I don't know which one it is, even though it's a review. Just think about all the people that might erase something and don't know how to bring it back. So yeah, but going ahead, I'm gonna go ahead and add the hi-hats that I want. I'm gonna try one more time, record quantize. Maybe, you know, this time it will work. I'm gonna go ahead and activate record quantize. I'm gonna see if it works this time. And get rid of that pad. Yeah, that's what I like. Now we're getting to it. All right, so I have everything that I wanted the track to sound like at the very beginning. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show you is the mixer. The mixer is pretty cool because you have 8 parameters that correspond or correlate to the colors on the screen over here on the pads. And yeah, so you can get the most out of this right here by, let's turn down track number 3. All right. So you can mix it up. You can also mute. So the mutes aren't instant like the Kai MPC Live Extra 1. Hopefully they will change that and make it so it is actively instant when you turn it off, but that's just a minor complaint that can be fixed. So the next thing that I want to show you is this right here, which is the effects. You can go to the grid effects by clicking on mix again, and let me go ahead and show you some of the cool stuff that you could do. Yeah, lo-fi. And it sounds good. You can latch effects too. You got beat repeaters. Reverses. Noise gating. Keep in mind, at any time that you can go into the Novation component software and you can change them up, my only prayer is that they add more. Just add more effects, because the effects that they have included are fantastic. No cap. All right, so let's just have some fun right here and just play with this track, and then I'll weigh in. So, tell me how you feel about this video. I definitely want to hear from you guys. Are you thinking about buying the Novation Circuit Rhythm? If you are, links in the description box. Yet again, hey, I'm just being crazy about it. But for the most part, I'll weigh in with my pros and cons. So the biggest pro is that it is portable. It doesn't have a speaker on there. And one thing I guess would be a con about the portability, I would expect something like this. It would have been cool at least to have a built-in microphone. It doesn't have to be the best. Seeing that this is a sample-based machine, that would have been really cool. The knobs, I do like the endless encoders. That was a great choice by Novation to use endless encoders for the basic 8 encoders, and these are locked in, but that's forgivable. I totally understand why you would lock these 2 in versus doing that to all of the encoders. So people that are upset about that, I don't know what to tell you. The pads, they're nice and bright, and the workflow, I would say, is not as mind-blowingly difficult like other groove boxes. Once you look at the tutorial video, once you register it and you go to the tutorial videos by Enrique, shout out to Enrique over there at Novation, you'll get the gist of it pretty well. And if not that, just go to the Novation Circuit Track video and watch how that works in terms of workflow. And it's like a 6-minute video, and I think you'll grab the concept there. So as far as my cons go, which There are quite a few. The fact that there's no undo button, a dedicated one, is annoying. And then there are hidden features, hidden shift features, which you will have to read the manual. And yeah, people don't like to read manuals, so I'll probably do a video on how to some of the shortcuts and stuff like that, so you can get used to the workflow, because it is pretty brilliant at the end of the day, and there's nothing I really want to take away from this, especially it not having a screen. Once you get used to the component software and you load up the samples that you want, then it's pretty cool. I will say as a con, even though you have 300 plus seconds of sampling time in this recent firmware update, you still can't load like a 25-second sample into one pad, and that's kind of a bummer because there are samples that are longer and it's a bit annoying. And another thing that I would say as far as like using the start and end knob right here, it's a bit too much when it comes to the jump in the points, start and end points are a bit aggressive. And even if you do shift and that knob, it's still too aggressive in my opinion, but that's something that they can adjust in the future update. A huge pro for this, it's a $400 groove box and you can arrange your beats. It's a little difficult of a process to chain some of the stuff, but yeah, it's doable, and that's the best thing. And there's units that are above this that don't have that feature, believe it or not. Do I give this the stamp of approval? I definitely would say 85% yes. It is actually damn good. I'm about to cook up again.